ॐ ब्रह्ममेतु मां मधुमेतु मां ब्रह्ममेव मधुमेतु मां ब्रह्ममेधया मधुमेधया ब्रह्ममेव मधुमेधया ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. May the absolute existence, the Brahman, be realized by me. May the absolute infinite bliss be realized by me. May we realize Brahman, the absolute existence, which is also the absolute bliss. May we realize Brahman by purification of our consciousness. May we realize the highest bliss with the purification of our consciousness. May we realize the absolute existence, which is also the absolute ultimate bliss, with purification of our consciousness. Dear friends, the topic for today's discussion is a famous quote in Bible which comes in Old Testament as well as New Testament, that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God. I see that picture on the TV screens. There is some bread kept there. So one may say that, well, man does not live by bread alone. There should be butter or marmalade or something like that, which is necessary for man. Maybe other animals would just follow bread, but man may need something to apply to the butter. That is what is meant by man shall not live by bread alone. So let us try to procure butter and other things that can be applied to it. Well, friends, that is obviously a humor, not the idea when you read it in the scriptures. And you will see that in all different religions this is a very central theme, that man has a higher dimension, and then the human existence really is meant to realize that divine higher dimension. That is a difference that we see between other animals and human beings. Most other animals that we know of, if you give them whatever is enough for the survival of the body, that keeps them pretty happy. They don't want to leave the place because what they need is available there. The food, the place to rest, some mating opportunities and all that. If that is there, then there is no further need to go anywhere. Even Darwin's theory of evolution, after a lot of observations, points out to this, that it is for survival. These animals change, the species get changed for the purpose of survival and the selection. So that is why they change the places, they are seen to change the environments, they change themselves, means their bodies, to suit. There is that idea that why giraffe got such a long neck, because they kind of, earlier the necks were not so tall, but as they were eating leaves, all the leaves in the lower branches got finished, and they were starving, so they kept on stretching their necks, and then over the course of many generations, the necks got elongated to such a way, in such a way that they will be able to eat the leaves. So in many ways you see how the migration of the birds happens, how the different species come up. You see, these two are the principles enough for the survival of other animals. There should be food, there should be the opportunity to multiply, there should be shelter, there should be the protection for their bodies, that's it. Human beings, we see with them a very different thing. Even if all these things are given, yet there is tremendous dissatisfaction. We do not feel happy or satisfied by just the food or whatever is needed for our physical existence is supplied. That is supplied, come on, you have it. But then you want something more than that. There is something else that human beings are looking for. And that is why human beings have a different role to play in this universal existence. They have another dimension that needs to that they need to cultivate, that they need to manifest, and they should be evolving in that direction. In fact, one of the great evolutionists, Julian Huxley, he wrote a nice book about evolution after Darwin. And he mentions there that for human beings, the evolution as such is not on the physical plane, but on the plane of mind and intellect. The evolution takes place there. If we look at the physical strength of human beings, we are nobody compared to most other animals. They can, with just a little push, an elephant can make us just non-existent. By just swallowing a little bit, a whale can just give shelter to us in its wide belly. We are nobody in terms of the physical strength or all that to so many animals. When it comes to also survival, we see cockroaches, they survive, they are supposed to be there for millions and millions of years, they have survived. But they always just remain the cockroaches. They were living in the same conditions. In that sense, human beings are kind of new on this earth. And we have brought ourselves to a situation due to all these wars and all, the weapons of mass destructions that are growing up, that we may probably not survive for too long. Our physique is not really meant to survive for too long like those, the environment that we have created. So therefore, it is from that angle we are really not the most evolved species, but we have another dimension in which our evolution takes place, and that is to discover the meaning of living. This question as to why should I live? Food, okay, I have got the food, I have got the shelter, I have got the other multiplying opportunities, fine. All that is there. Am I satisfied with that? No human being really is satisfied with that. Some, because of their lethargy, they do not want to take the trouble of growing beyond it. They just keep on running after only the basic sensual pleasures. Then they are, as one of our scriptures, Bhartrihari's Niti Shatak, 100 verses on morality. Bhartrihari's, he was a Sanskrit poet, a king also, and then a great saintly figure too. So he has written 100 verses on moral science, and 100 verses of renunciation also. Then there are, before that, there are the 100 verses of sense enjoyment. So all these he has mentioned that in that Niti Shataka, the 100 verses of a moral living, he mentions that how human beings they should be living. Human beings, he mentions that we have literature, we have, all those other music, arts, different types of sciences and learning that human beings take interest in. Food is okay, but then, well, I have to go to university, I have to get my bachelor's, I have to, today there is commencement at Brown, so many people, you say, they want to go to school, they want to go to universities, they want to, learn. This learning, you won't find in other animals. Do you know any cat schools or dog schools? Human beings make schools for them, that is different thing, for dogs. But do you know any dog school made by dogs themselves? It is not, even we don't think of it. Can you imagine one dog as the headmaster in a dog school? No, it is not, that idea is not there. It is something specially human, that it is the learning, the growing in that direction. So this it is said here, Sahitya Sangeeta Kala Vihinaha Sakshat Pashu Puchha Vishanahinaha. That if a person is completely devoid of literary interest in music and arts, then you should consider him like a domestic animal, except that doesn't have horns and a tail, and that a tail and hornless animal. And these human beings do a great favor to all other creatures by not eating the grass or hay, so that something is spared for those poor other animals. So, but their life is same as animals. Yesham na vidya na tapo na danam jnanam na shilam na gunah na dharmah te martya loke bhuvibhara bhutaha manushya rupena mrigacharanti. That such creatures who have no interest in learning, there is no idea of austerity and charities. They do not cultivate the knowledge, the etiquettes, manners, virtues, and no religion. Then they are just a load on this earth. They are the animals moving on the earth in the shape of human beings. So, structurally they are human beings, functionally they still fall in the category of animals. Actually, this is only a criticism meant to arouse that other dimension in us. Actually, you won't find a human being completely like this, who doesn't have any interest in knowing, learning, absolutely no interest in arts, and so forth. Everybody, to some extent, the extent may vary, but everybody, every human being will have something beyond just the physical bare necessities. There is always the interest to use it for something. That is why we see that a human being feels stifled. All this is there, but what is the meaning of all these things available to me? I am okay, I am getting to eat, but one feels bored, one feels meaningless life. Well, what can be done? We see that Wizard of Oz, that little girl. She has food, and she has shelter. Her uncle and aunt, they are taking good care of her from that angle, but feels that what am I to do now? How am I to, get rid of this boredom? What should I be doing? Where to go? So, therefore, that song comes there, somewhere over the rainbow. Beautiful idea, actually, that it is a topic of different lecture, really, but we can understand that we want to break through this bondage. It is all these surroundings, they become all meaningless. What am I to do with this living? Just breathing in, breathing out. The whole life is just, operating this pump called lungs, Am I just the operator of these lungs? Pump air in, pump out. Is this the sum and substance of life? Just eat and survive? What is it? Is there something more to that? We know there must be something more to it. What is it? We, therefore, human beings try to know more and more, understand more and more, cultivate various types of branches of learning, arts, sciences, and so forth. That is a stage of evolution. We build big civilizations, and we build societies, we build the centers for arts, we build big factories, we harness different powers of nature, and still we feel it is not enough, something is still lacking. What is the meaning of life? Okay, I have got now all TVs are there, all the modern gadgets they are at my service, everything is there, but what is it for? You can go and invent better and better things. Earlier I remember, that the smaller and smaller phones were the attraction. Your phone is this one, mine is smaller, you see, good. Then it became bigger and bigger, Now they show my phone is, this long. Let me see how long yours is. So it is because there is no satisfaction. These things keep on rotating again and again. So what is it for that question becomes again and again troubling us. What is it that we want? We do not live by bread alone. Man shall not live by bread alone. The bread is important. We need to eat, okay. But then what use we put this body to? This body is to survive, we need bread, okay. And then what do we do with the bread? This body? We just keep it like that. It is akin to, getting a car and fueling it, keeping it nice, and never taking it anywhere except to the gas station to fill and back. And again, after some years, the gas may just dry out, and then again take it to gas station, fill it again. Do not use it to any purpose. Our body can become just a vehicle like that. This feeding is just putting gas in it. And what do you do with that vehicle? What use are you putting it to? Okay, we build all this structure of human society. It is very important that human societies are built, because thereby we interact with each other, try to learn from the experiences of each other, but again we are not satisfied with it. Other animals also have societies. It is not just a human exclusive privilege. Like bees, many ants, they actually have more disciplined, more structured civilizations. But human beings also have it, but human beings do not feel satisfied with it. We feel that the same problems again. What do I do with this? What next? Yes, I like to listen to music, fine. But what next? Can I keep on listening to music all 24/7? No, nobody will like to do that for an hour, okay, hour and a half, a stretch, fine. But then I need something else. I get bored. What is the meaning of all this? There must be some deeper significance to this. The intellectual growth is excellent, but then the question starts making sense. When a person looks at oneself, the different types of bondages are felt. Our attractions are funny. Human attractions, there is the famous novel of Somerset Maugham of human bondage. And it kind of describes how where you feel the attraction, there is no response for that attraction. Where there is response, you don't feel attraction. All very complicated situation, that is, in a way, a story of our life. We used to have a saying that when there are nuts, there were no teeth. When there were nuts, there were no teeth. And when there are teeth, then the nuts were not there. So it is, both do not come to us simultaneously. What we want to enjoy, and then the object of enjoyment, the instruments of enjoyment, they keep on shifting. And again, there is no satisfaction. So there again, the thing comes. Do I live by this? This also then forms what is called bread. Do I live by this bread? Bread of civilization, bread of university education, bread of music and arts and culture. Is it enough again to survive as human being? The answer is no. That also is not enough. We still feel stifled. We still feel that there is something more to it. We feel bound and we want to break free of this terrible bondage that I am not feeling satisfaction. I want to realize something much more than this. And this realization of much more, for that, you see, as the line, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word of God. Every word of God, actually, Jesus told this, that he quoted from the Old Testament, that it is when he was told or asked that, hey, if you call yourself Son of God, then convert these stones into bread. And Jesus replied, well, it is written that man shall not live by bread alone. See, those who only understand the physical level needs, they therefore have emphasis of progress is only on spreading the commodities of physical survival. Many times, if somebody is building a temple or a church, spending quite a few $1 million on that, then many people question, why so much spending? Why do you not, distribute food to everybody? There are so many starving people. Okay, if suppose, is the starving going to end by that? Not going to end. It is, does man live by bread alone? It is, there is something more. Why do we not then make all hospitals? Swami Vivekananda says that even if you fill all the world, every lane, if you fill with the all supplies of food and hospitals everywhere, still the human suffering will not end. We need something more. But those who are connected only with the physical needs, they do not understand it. It is one of our Swamis, a wonderful senior Swami that I used to speak to. He once told that, look, because somebody asked him this question, that why instead of building a temple, why don't you just make hospital? And he told, well, this is hospital. The human diseases are of various types. By sitting here, by coming here, there is again a treatment that is given to human beings, a spiritual treatment. There is human beings, they live at physical level, mental level and spiritual level. All three levels need to be taken care of, not just one level. By taking care of just one level, human beings will not be satisfied. Therefore, we need to take care of all three levels. The food has to be supplied at all three levels. So, intellectual level or the level where the heart, the mind, it attains a kind of sublimity that yes, a lot of learning has gone into, you have gone to moon and the other stars and all. We have many other faculties of learning available and go very deep. But then that is again a never ending process. Even if you keep on learning these things for the whole life, we will not come to any conclusion. There is no end to it. Then where is the fulfillment? That is then the next level where we have to break through this too. It is very important to feel that level. That is going to the true nature of human being. Completely breaking free from every type of bondage. A human being, when has a lot of physical food available, a lot of other means of mental culture available, then thinks, what else do I need? Am I free from bondage? No. Am I having the ultimate bliss and satisfaction? No. What do I need then? And then sees that I need something that is infinite. Anything that is finite is not going to fulfill my needs. That is what I need to understand my divine dimension. I have a physical dimension. I have a psychological dimension. But I have a divine spiritual dimension. That I have to now explore and expand. That needs to evolve. And that evolution really brings out the true nature of human beings. That who am I? That search opens up and it brings this answer as Swami Vivekananda in that beautiful lecture on real and apparent nature of man. That lecture was delivered in New York and there he mentions, I am quoting only a few lines, but the whole lecture is tremendously illuminating and inspiring. When that true infinite nature is realized, Swami Vivekananda says, and I am quoting, thus alone man becomes fearless and becomes free. Then all delusions cease, all miseries vanish, all fears come to an end forever. Birth goes away and with it death. Pains fly and with them fly away pleasures. Earths vanish and with them vanish heavens. Bodies vanish and with them vanishes the mind also. For that man disappears, the whole universe as it were. For that man disappears the whole universe as it were. This searching, moving, continuous struggle of forces stops forever, and that which was manifesting itself as force and matter, as struggles of nature, as nature itself, as heavens and earths and plants and animals and men and angels, all that becomes transfigured into one infinite, unbreakable, unchangeable existence. And knowing man finds that he is one with that existence. Even as, and that there is quote in the quote, even as clouds of various colors come before the sky, remain there for a second and vanish away, even so before this soul, all these visions are coming and going away. That I am a man, I am a woman, I am this, I am that. These are the clouds before our true nature. And these clouds move. When they come, they really do not tarnish the sky, but they are just appearances. And because we want to really know and merge with that our true infinite nature, we have to find a succor that will bring it to us. And this is the next level of human evolution, where this inquiry into the ultimate meaning comes up. There now the human being becomes truly human being. The greatness of human being then becomes visible there. It is, of course, visible when we see the intellectual and mental growth, but that is only in a limited sense. The real distinction becomes apparent in this spiritual search. That is why, again, another important distinctions that we see in other animals and human beings is religion. Religion in its broad sense, I mean, that discovering the purpose, ultimate purpose of life and the way to get there. That is what is called and should be called religion. This religion is again a very special feature that you don't see in other animals. It is, this feature is now making us evolve from this level of psychological evolution to spiritual evolution. It is another, you can say, a launching pad. You have evolved psychologically, fine, but from here now you have to take another big leap into the spiritual realm. That is where the religion becomes meaningful. A human being therefore starts searching for this, and thus we find that the limitations start breaking off. When we look at our true nature, we realize that, well, I am using the body. I am not the body. I am more than that. I use the body. I am not the body. See, very similar to that, I use the car. I am not the car. I use so many instruments like that. I use a screwdriver. I am not a screwdriver. So this body is an instrument, you see. To get to this idea is a great leap in the system, of the description in chakras. It is arranged in a hierarchical way that how the evolution takes place. Sri Ramakrishna tells about this, these 6 different chakras, or these 6 different levels of psychological evolution of consciousness. He describes that at the level, it is the positions are just for description purposes. For visualization, their positions are told along the spinal cord. Let us not imagine that actually there are these chakras or the wheels or some such plexus there. It is positions are shown for our understanding and remembrance. We work, we use symbols, so this is a symbolic presentation. So, the lowest one is represented at the anus, that it is just physical existence. There is nothing more. Even there is no proliferation, no multiplying species, and it is the existence like the stones and all that. We don't see them, having any mating needs and like that, you see. So it is that kind of existence. Then there is the need for, the existence, protection, multiplying this species and all that. There the consciousness has risen to the sex organ level. But that is not again enough for human beings. You want to cultivate the society, want more and more wealth, create, money and wealth. That is a speciality of human beings. See, no other animals have money concept. Only human beings are stupid enough to have it, you see. But that is how in no other animals there is this idea that money makes the world go on. It is only human world that goes on with money. So money, again goes for construction of all such things. So much of intricate development of great scientific knowledge, arts, culture, all that power that goes along with it. It is represented at the level of navel, that evolution as human being. You become immensely powerful here. When the consciousness rises up to that, you come to the ultimate limit of it, that you win over all the diseases that can attack you. You get all the material wealth and the enjoyments that it can bring you. All that is there. And yet the dissatisfaction doesn't go. It keeps on coming back again and again. So many, we see that in many very developed and rich societies, there was a survey that was done as to where people are very happy. And then the happiness level has nothing to do with the availability of physical comforts. Even where the comforts are less, people are seen happier. So what I mean to point out in this respect is that the dissatisfaction with all these things, it keeps on prompting, we need something more, what is it? And then on some fine morning or afternoon or whatever, need not be necessarily morning, but it opens up a new light in, so I am calling morning, that we start feeling, very strongly feeling, I am not this body or this mind. This is my machine. This is instrument that I am using, like my computer, like my car, like my other tools. I am using these. This is not I. And there, it is a big leap has taken place there. A leap in evolution that is represented as that plexus in heart, that lotus in heart, represents that That is why the spiritual life begins there. That when you start feeling I as distinct from this body-mind complex, the spiritual journey now begins here. A person, therefore, now wants to, realize that ultimate truth as to who I am. Once you get rid of this delusion that I am this heap of flesh and blood, then who am I? As long as I was satisfied with this idea that I am this heap of flesh and blood, I didn't look for anything better. But this knowledge comes up that I am not that, then who I am? Then who am I? It becomes a very pressing and persistent, relentless inquiry for this person then. And that keeps on prompting the evolution. And there you start discovering, really, I am not bound by even space and time. I am everywhere. I am in everything. There is nothing that I needed. I am perfection itself. I am all that is. There are still, this understanding comes, that is described when the awareness comes to the level of throat. That strong awareness, yes, I am divine, I am all that is, I am existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, I have no death, I have no birth. That comes there, but it is still not stable. It is like reaching there, but again falling down, not able to hold there because the other forces are there. When this construction was going on a few years ago, that crane was going up. And then it reached the point at one place where it wanted to reach, but not quite, because it was not enough to hold on to it. So it had to be raised further. So at the level of throat, as Sri Ramakrishna describes it, Sri Ramakrishna's descriptions are out of his own experience. It is very rare to find such graphic descriptions of what happens at this level of evolutions except in such records. So he says that there also there is the pull, the attraction of the lower levels. And so a person therefore cannot really get established in this wisdom. And so has to be given further push of that practice of this awareness has to be done, and which again is difficult, friends. As you go higher levels of evolution, not that the difficulties vanish, the difficulties go on increasing, but your strength also correspondingly goes on increasing. I experienced that, like when you are climbing up a high mountain, then you feel now I have come up to this, now the climb would be probably easy. No, as you go higher and higher, it starts getting more and more steep, more and more difficult. But yes, your determination also increases correspondingly. Oh yes, I have covered all this track. Now a little more energy is to be put in. Let me do that. And thus a person evolves. That spirit has to be kept up, the spirit of relentlessly pushing on this path. As Swami Vivekananda says, that stop not till the goal is reached. And we have to keep on pushing. If we stop, then we fall. One of my teachers gave a nice analogy that it is, you must have seen those children, they play on the slides, good like that, climb up from the ladder and then sit on the slide and go down. They like to do that. Some kids, and most in fact, once in a while, want to climb on that side, up. From the slide, they want to climb up. Now what happens there? It is a nice adventurous exercise, no doubt. If you keep on going, then you reach. But if you let your hold go in the middle, then you again slide down, down. So that is what happens if we do not keep up this, what gets called as spiritual practice. This struggle against all these forces that are pulling us back towards this flesh, towards the existence that is contained in bread. So we have to remind ourselves, I do not live by that alone. Let me push it further and further. And then Sri Ramakrishna describes that you reach now a level of safety. When that is described, when you come, your awareness comes to the level of this between the eyebrows. That now those attractions, it loses, though they lose their force. Those things are no more capable of pulling down. You have kind of transcended that gravitational sphere. So now you will not fall down on the earth. But still, have you still reached the goal? Sri Ramakrishna describes that there it is just like seeing through a clear glass. That your ideal, your goal and you, God and you, there is, you feel just a very thin, transparent screen. And then, now you are not there to do spiritual practice. Now it happens. It is very difficult. That description is not possible. It is something beyond words. When that screen, falls off. You cannot say when, how, where, because it is not within the realm of time-space causation. And that is where we find our true life. That is the ultimate word of God. We shall live by each word of God. Means at whatever level we are, a particular word will apply to us. And that we should use to go ahead. The purpose is to be remembered. That word which is helpful for us to go ahead towards goal, that is for us. It is like everybody is to climb on the ladder to go to the roof. Now somebody is on the third step, somebody is on the fifth step. Now if it is, they said, oh, go to the fourth step. For whom is it? For the one who is on the third step. For that person, that word is, oh, well, go to the fourth step. The one on the fifth step, if not for that person to come down. Oh, God says come to the fourth. No. It is, the purpose is to be kept in mind. That what is the word of God? That is to be thought clearly, that it is, what is the purpose? is to make us realize this ultimate truth, that I and my Father are one. Be you perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. That is the goal. And if some word of God is pulling me or bringing me down from where I am, not taking me ahead, then it is not for me. There is this way, this is the way, that the scriptures are to be understood and followed. It is again a different subject, I don't want to dwell on it today, but this is how we should keep on this path and free ourselves from every kind of bondage and realize our ever free nature. Thank you, friends.